Part 99. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 983. 981. That Chi-Sing Wang is a cruel person, he can't afford to offend him. Furthermore, his son Tang Qian really liked Qi Jinmin, and even told him in private before that he was willing to put all his properties in Qi Jinmin's name to show his sincerity. Although they were pleasantly surprised by their son's change and determination, they were also worried that their son's hard work would be in vain because of the unpredictable nature of people's hearts. Mr. Tang and Ms. Tang were very embarrassed, but considering the Qi family's family background and financial resources, they were not coveting Tang Qian's money. It must be because their son's past made them feel uneasy, so they found some reasons to regulate their son Tang Qian. After Tang Qian's persuasion, the old couple also put aside their prejudices and felt that as long as their son and Qi Jinmin truly loved each other, nothing else mattered. Mr. Huo didn't believe Mr. Tang's words, but this man had a bottom line and principles in doing things, and he was willing to remind him. Okay, let's eat first, and we'll go over and sit down later, Mr. Huo said. By the way, Brother Qi likes good wine, so don't be reluctant to bring the special gift to your family. Anyway, he was working for old Tang, so Mr. Huo had to let him come up with something good. Okay, Mr. Tang said with a smile, nothing is as important as my son's marriage now. The youngest son, the eldest grandson, the old man, the lifeblood of the old lady, this is absolutely true. If Xiaoxi can't have a happy family, even if I leave, I can't close my eyes. Haha, then show your sincerity, Mr. Huo said with a smile. The Qi family is not a simple family. Putting aside such a big family business, let's not talk about it. Brother Qi has some friendship with us, and we don't have many. Let's talk about the old lady of the Qi family. She is a real person. Qi Shuliang has to listen to what she says, and so does our brother Qi. Oh, Mr. Tang was surprised. You mean? After Brother Qi lost his wife and son, he simply stopped marrying and became alone. It's not like some people who marry young and beautiful people and have children. It turns out there is someone in my heart. Hey, Brother Qi won't speak for him anymore. Mr. Tang sighed. That's what I mean. Although it's not stated clearly, everyone can see it, so talk to your old lady. When talking to the Qi family's old lady, be careful and be sincere, Mr. Huo reminded. If you show off, if you are high and mighty, even if your family has a high position and is worth a lot of money, the old lady won't even look down on you. Thank you for reminding me, Lao Huo. Mr. Tang nodded repeatedly. The person who can be praised by Lao Huo is definitely not a simple person. He must deal with it carefully and never let his son's marriage go wrong. Mr. Tang couldn't wait to go home and told Ms. Tang the whole story. Tang Qian's marriage was a thorn in Ms. Tang's heart, especially when she met the Li family yesterday. Li Gongru was wearing gold and silver, and there were men beside her. They were very intimate, which made her feel very angry. Li Gongru has already found a man, and her son can find one too, and he wants to find a better one. I know what you mean. Not to mention the respectful attitude. Even if you ask me to humble myself for the old lady of the Qi family, I am willing to do it. After all, the old lady of Qi is not from Yanjing. She will go back after a while. Let's being respectful can also leave a good impression on the other party, and you are not afraid of others making fun of you, Ms. Tang said. As for the condition proposed by Ms. Qi, there is nothing wrong with it. Our son has ruined so many eldest daughters before. This is also the price he should bear. Thinking about it from his perspective, I would also ask for it, so it is not too much. As long as our son truly repented, Jinmin would be willing to live with him. Can't blame others. Mr. Tang was convinced, nodded, and said, yes, that's it. After breakfast, Mr. Tang and Ms. Tang prepared some things and followed Mr. Huo to Huo Yingji's house. Old man Chi was not surprised to see Mr. Huo. He knew that Brother Huo would come again, and he would never wait until after the military parade to visit. Later I saw Mr. Tang, who was also an acquaintance. Although the relationship was not so good, he could still talk to him a few words. Brother Tang, Sister Tang, sit inside, old man Chi said with a smile, pretending not to know that Mr. Tang was Tang Qian's father. Mr. Tang chuckled and said, "Hey, in a blink of an eye, we haven't seen each other for so many years." "Yeah, it's almost 20 years ago," old man Chi said with a smile. "Brother Tang, how are you doing, Mrs. Tang?" "It's a good thing, I finally got through it," Mrs. Tang said. "I see that you are far away from the world, but you look much younger than us." "Haha," old man Chi smiled, "I am alone, picking chrysanthemums under the eastern fence, and seeing Nanshan leisurely. I don't have so many worries, so I look younger." In fact, old man Chi is only 4 or 5 years younger than them, but from the outside, he looks like he is more than 10 years younger. Old man Chi knew that this might have something to do with the feng shui of Kijia village, or it might have something to do with his usual boxing practice, or it might have something to do with the pills that he Tian gave them to strengthen their health. The first two could be said, but not the latter. "It seems that if we have time, let's go into the woods and take a good rest." Mr. Huo chuckled and said, "Take a walk, don't stand outside, sit inside." In the yard, Grandma Wang and Grandma Chi-san are embroidering together. Wearing reading glasses, doing embroidery seriously. Mr. Huo smiled and said, "Sisters from the Chi family, come on, let me introduce you. These are Brother Chi's former comrades in arms. They have a good relationship, and they are also Tang Qian's parents. I heard that you and Brother Chi have come to Yanjing, specifically. Come visit." Since it was about Tang Qian, Mr. Huo quickly made it clear. "We are all smart people. Pretending to be confused while pretending to understand will not lead to success." Grandma Chi-san heard this and smiled enthusiastically. "Haha, it turns out they are Tang Qian's parents. Come on, sit down, sit down." Old man Chi also greeted Mr. Tang and Mrs. Tang, saying, "Speaking of two children, it is really fate." "No," Mr. Tang said, "when I heard about the relationship between the two families, I was very happy. 1,000-mile marriage is tied to a thread. My old wife and I came here today. On the one hand, we came to visit, and on the other hand, we wanted to ask questions. What else needs to be prepared? As long as the two children are doing well, we as elders will agree." "Yes, sister, what other requests do you have?" Mrs. Tang asked. "If there are any, please put them forward. As long as we can satisfy them, we will definitely satisfy them. If we cannot, we will try our best." "Haha, there are no requirements," Grandma Chi-san smiled. "Tang Qian went to Kijia village some time ago, and I met him. He is a polite child. Although he has made mistakes in the past, he corrects them when he knows they are wrong. It can be said that his faults are not covered up. I strongly recommend Tuanzi 123, Ancient Counterattack Strategy, to my good friend Tuanzi, to travel through ancient times and kill everyone. Watch her flirt with men and recruit her younger brother to conquer the sea. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 984. 982. Upon hearing what Grandma Chi-san said, Mr. Tang and Mrs. Tang were very happy. It proves that they are optimistic about their son's changes and aspirations, and at the same time they are not opposed to their son's love affair with Chi Jinmin. "Yes, that's what I said about Xiaoxi," Mrs. Tang said. "We, the old couple, really like Jinmin. Do you think, when are we going to propose marriage?" Old man Chi stopped talking. After all, she was not his biological granddaughter, so he could not make the final decision. Grandma Chi-san smiled. took a sip of tea, and said with a smile, "The young people are talking now. I only know that the two of them are good, but in fact I have not talked carefully with Jinmin. Since the old brother and the old sister came to ask in person, then I'll take the time to ask. Parents to enrich people. Although she is not as old-fashioned as before, the Tang family is willing to solemnly prove that they value her granddaughter, so Grandma Chi-san cannot refuse outright. After all, the relationship between her granddaughter and Tang Qian was getting better and better, and they might be together in the future, so she couldn't keep talking about it. Mrs. Tang also understood that she couldn't agree just because she came to propose marriage for the first time. As a woman, you should always be reserved. Okay, sister, tell me carefully, our Tang family wants to settle on such a marriage with 120,000 sincerity. Mrs. Tang smiled, expressing the Tang family's sincerity. During lunch, He Tian and Qi Jinmin came back together, followed by Tang Qian. When Tang Qian saw his parents coming over, he was also stunned. At the same time, he was a little nervous and had a blush on his face. His parents came over, probably for his marriage. They looked up at Qi Jinmin and felt hot in their hearts. He wants to get married. When Qi Jinmin saw Tang Qian's parents coming, his face turned red and shy. He greeted his elders and followed He Tian into the house to avoid the scrutiny of the elders. As for Tang Qian, he stayed, served tea and water, and took care of several elders drinking tea. He was very attentive. There was Mr. Huo making jokes in the middle, and the few people chatted happily. They had lunch before saying goodbye and leaving. Tang Qian personally sent his parents home. "Dad, Mom, are you here for my business?" Tang Qian asked, a little nervous. "You can say yes," Mr. Tang smiled, "it's also to visit your Grandpa Qi." "Oh," Tang Qian said, "then what did Grandma Qi say? Did she agree with Zhengmin and me?" "She said she wanted to ask Zhengmin." Mrs. Tang smiled and said, "Hey, you are a good girl with a good family background, so you have to put on some airs." Tang Qian was stunned, turned around and asked, "Dad, Mom, does Grandma Qi disagree?" Tang Qian was a little anxious. He had already bowed 99 times and was just short of the last shiver. "Haha, don't be anxious," Mrs. Tang said with a smile. "The more her son cares about it, the less likely it is that he will be a fool. It's the woman, even if she is willing, but it's our first time to come to the door, so she can't immediately promise, you have to be reserved. Let's go there again after some time and have a look." Tang Qian felt a little guilty and said, "I'm sorry, parents, I have made you feel wronged. What's wrong with this? We want to marry someone else's precious granddaughter home, so we should show such sincerity. Sister Qi is also an old school person who values rules, so we should follow her." Mrs. Tang laughed. He said, "As long as he can successfully marry Qi Jinmin, it doesn't matter if he makes a few more trips." Thinking about it from his perspective, Mrs. Tang knew that she would also be able to handle it a few times. After hearing this, Tang Qian understood a little and said, "Mom, I understand." When the eldest nieces-in-laws came to propose marriage, they came several times before agreeing. "Yes, that's the truth." Mrs. Tang smiled and said, "Marry a daughter with your head up and a wife with your head down. This has been the truth since ancient times. You, talk to Jinmin in private and ask her grandma's attitude. Let's sum it up." Yet Tang Qian made a note of it and never messed around again. It was really not easy to marry a wife that he wanted. Even if the whole family mobilized, they might not succeed, so Tang Qian made up his mind. At night, Grandma Qi-san called Qi Jinmin and He Tian, and the three of them talked in her room. "Jinmin, Tang Qian's parents came to propose marriage, what do you say?" Grandma Qi-san asked with a smile. "If you agree, then I will agree next time they come over. If you don't agree, I will tell you it still needs to be adjusted. Is this okay?" Qi Jinmin's face turned red, and after thinking for a while, he said, "Grandma, the conditions you told Tang Qian before, although you did it for my own good, I think it's not very fair to Tang Qian. When it comes to feelings, I have fallen in love with other men before, but I didn't get married, and I didn't have two things to do. The situation is not as bad as Tang Qian's. Now that we are talking about marriage, you put the property in Tang Qian's name in my name. The starting point is also to hope that Tang Qian will give up important things as collateral. I understand your painstaking efforts, and I also agree with this move. However, if it is only aimed at Tang Qian, I feel it is a bit biased, so I would like to add that if the relationship breaks down, we will. The joint property of the couple belongs to the child, but I also want to show my attitude that I am not with Tang Qian because of Tang Qian's money." Qi Zhenmin's proposal took into account the relationship between the two of them, rather than just money. He Tian listened but said nothing, wanting to hear Grandma Qi San's opinion. After hearing what Qi Zhenmin said, Grandma Qi San did not speak directly, but carefully considered and nodded. "You did this to take into account the face of the man's family, which is also good. But I don't regret the request I made before. I would rather be the bad guy. Your words will make the Tang family happy. I can rest assured that you will have a good life in the Tang family in the future." He Tian smiled and said, "Grandma, I think we used to treat Zhenmin as a child, but in fact, she has always known it in her heart. Zhenmin can think of this level, so we don't have to worry about her in the future. Yes, she has finally grown up." Grandma Qi San smiled. Tian is not an outsider, Zhenmin. Grandma wants to say a few words to you, heartfelt words. No matter how good a man is, he is not as good as you. No matter how reliable a man is, he is not as reliable as his children and family. If you are wronged, just say it directly. Don't be afraid that we will worry and keep silent. In the end, it will lead to irreversible consequences. The one who cares about you the most and loves you the most will be sad." Qi Zhenmin listened, snuggled in front of her grandmother, and said coquettishly, "Grandma, I know, I will never do stupid things again. There is not only love in the world, but also friendship and family affection. You can't think too much because of a little unhappiness. I have a wise grandmother, an upright grandfather, parents who love me, a capable brother, and a quirky sister. They all love me so much, and no one dares to bully me." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 985. 983. There are several now, and Grandma Qi San wants to have a good talk with her granddaughter. It's good if you think so. Grandma Qi San smiled. As long as you have enough money, don't care too much, but you can't not care at all. Money is not everything, but you can't do it without money. Keep your true feelings and don't be dazzled by so-called love or men. This does not mean that you and Tang Qian are not allowed to fall in love and live a good life, but I hope that you can use your own wisdom to manage your own life." He Tian and Qi Zhenmin both remembered Grandma Qi's words. They have passed the rebellious period of teenage adolescence and are able to listen to other people's suggestions and distinguish between good and bad, so they cherish the advice and guidance of their elders even more. "Grandma, we've written it down, so don't worry about us and spend your old age peacefully." He Tian smiled and said, "You are good, we are juniors, so we will be good." "Haha, that's natural," Grandma Qi San said with a smile. "I have met a lot of people in my life, I have suffered a lot, and I have experienced all kinds of sufferings. I have looked away from them a long time ago. Naturally I will be fine for the rest of my life. You don't have to worry about me. By the way, your father is not here. I told you first. If I get a terminal illness, I don't want to see you. Just give me some painkillers. Don't go to the hospital for resuscitation or intubation. It's a matter of life or death. Bah, bah, bah. When he Tian Tian heard this, she said several times, Grandma, you are in good health, but you can't say that about yourself. Haha, I'll explain it in advance and treat it as making a will in advance, Grandma Chi-san said with a smile. At my age, I have a clear mind about life and death, so there is nothing I can't say. Grandma, you are not afraid, we are, Chi Jinmin said, you don't know how much we like you and love you. Chi Jinmin grew up abroad and is best at expressing emotions. Although he Tian Tian also had this idea, she was embarrassed to say it so bluntly. Haha, okay, don't tell me, Grandma Chi-san smiled, enjoying the filial piety of her juniors. Grandma, I'll take you to the best hospital for a checkup in a few days, so you can rest assured, okay, he Tian Tian suggested. She suspected that Grandma Chi-san was unwell, but was embarrassed to say it. No, Grandma Chi-san waved her hand, I'm in good health, so I won't go. By the way, we will go to the military parade tomorrow. Tang Qian said that everyone has seats, will you go? Of course, he Tian Tian said, this military parade is very rare. Besides, Grandma, you come here to see it? As juniors, we must go with it, and we also want to see our cutest of the Chinese People's Liberation Army. Okay, let's go there together tomorrow. Grandma Chi-san smiled, a little excited. Okay, it's getting late, you can go back and rest. Grandma, good night, he Tian Tian and Chi Jinmin said together, and then left together. When they got outside, the two said goodbye to each other and went back to rest. The two eldest children have fallen asleep. Huo Rufeng was a little naughty today. He was still squirming in his father's arms and looking around, probably looking for his mother. When he Tian Tian came in, the kid's eyes lit up and he reached out for his mother to hug him. Mom. The child can already call her mother, with a milky voice and a chubby little face, which is particularly cute. However, don't be deceived by his angelic appearance. In fact, he is a little devil on the inside, and he is usually very difficult to handle. Carrying one person was more tiring than carrying Huo Ruwa and Huo Ruiman before. When he Tian Tian saw her son letting her hold him, he quickly walked a few steps, hugged the child and said, it's so late, go to bed quickly. Mom, sleep, Huo Rufeng said. He Tian Tian understood that this boy wanted to sleep with her, not in his crib. Hearing this, Huo Yingzhe was unhappy and said, when he falls asleep, throw him into the crib. Don't let him sleep on the big bed. He's still young, he Tian Tian retorted, it's normal to want to sleep with me. He is a boy and cannot be coddled like this. Huo Yingzhe frowned and said, bring it over and I'll put him to sleep. Perhaps because his father was unhappy, Huo Rufeng kept burrowing into his mother's arms, his little head rubbing against He Tianatian's chest. Okay, let's wait until he grows up and becomes a man, He Tian Tian said, I will put him to sleep right now, and you don't need to say more. You are still your biological father. If anyone who doesn't know sees it, if you act like this, you think you are the stepfather. Humph, if I were the stepfather, I would have thrown him out a long time ago, Huo Yingzhe muttered, but he couldn't resist his wife. The child also liked to sleep between them when they slept at night. In this case, he cannot hug his wife. I feel depressed just thinking about it. Sure enough, the boy wants to sleep between his parents. Huo Yingzhe showed an unhappy expression, and He Tian Tian reached out and pinched the flesh on Huo Yingzhe's waist, pinching the ground so that Huo Yingzhe screamed in pain. Finally, at almost 10 o'clock, the little kid fell asleep. Huo Yingzhe got up and put the child directly on the crib. He put a small blanket around his belly and covered it with a small quilt to prevent him from freezing. Huo Yingzhe quickly reached the bed, hugged He Tian Tian tightly, and whispered, Tian Tian, I miss you. Upon hearing this, He Tian Tian was a little speechless. I had my period a few days ago. Do you want to fight with blood? The Hong army is attacking. We don't dare to rush forward. We can only hide until now, Huo Yingzhi said in a low voice. Can it be done? Can it be done? The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 986. 984. He Tian felt like she was floating in a sea of dreams and couldn't extricate herself. He Tian slept soundly at night. In her dream, she was carrying a small basket on her back, picking various flowers and making scented tea on the mountainside where the flowers were blooming. Picking flowers and singing at the same time. In March, partridges are all over the mountains and feeding all over the mountains. In April, rivers are flowing everywhere. Tea-picking girls are walking around the tea mountains. Tea songs are flying up to the white clouds. Hare is scurrying across the slope in the grass. Yeah. The joy in the dream also made the sleeping He Tian curl up the corners of her mouth and even hum. Even in the dark night, Huo Yingzhi could still clearly see He Tian's expression in his arms. This girl was having a sweet dream. I just don't know if he is in the dream. In the dream, He Tian was picking tea. When she was sweating profusely due to the heat, Huo Yingzhi brought her sweet mountain spring water in a bamboo tube. After that, the two stopped picking tea and started picking flowers. They played and explored in the mountains and fields, and saw 3 fat and white piglets. He Tian originally wanted to eat these 3 little pigs, but the 3 little pigs seemed to have become sperm and actually called her mother. He Tian took a closer look and saw that it was her 3 children, but they naughtily put on piggy pajamas. After thinking about it for a while, I was so scared that I almost ate these 3 little cubs. Afterwards, the 2 adults and their 3 children played in the mountains. It's just that the child is very naughty, which gives He Tian a headache. After a while, Huo Ruwa went down to the river to catch fish. After a while, Huo Ruiman climbed the tree. After a while, Huo Rufeng was actually stirring up a hornet's nest. He Tian was so angry that he chased the child all over the mountainside and beat him, but Huo Yingzhi kept protecting the child. In the end, He Tian also beat Huo Yingzhi. This kind of dream is really interesting. After a good night's sleep, He Tian felt refreshed when she woke up in the morning. Huo Yingzhi, who was standing next to him, leaned gently on the back of the bed and asked, "What did you dream about yesterday? At first you kept laughing, then you kicked your legs randomly, and finally you hit someone." He Tian was stunned for a moment, the smile on her lips disappeared, and she asked, "Am I sleepwalking?" "It's not sleepwalking, or the images in the dream have a great impact on you, so you will unconsciously make some actions in the dream," Huo Yingzhi explained. "You were dishonest in my arms yesterday, you must have dreamed a lot interesting stuff." "Haha," He Tian smiled, "I dreamed about it yesterday." Now that Huo Yingzhi asked, He Tian actually remembered everything in yesterday's dream, especially the scene of chasing the child later, which made He Tian laugh out loud. Huo Yingzhi also laughed when he heard He Tian's description. No wonder his wife's sleeping postures yesterday were so diverse and interesting. This chapter was harmonized, and the author rewrote the extra post. Extra, 4, Revenge, Rebirth. When He Tian didn't come home, he called, but no one answered. He called several times until the phone was turned off. At that time, he was still wondering in his mind, might his phone have been stolen? However, when he received a call again, it was from the police, saying that He Tian had died in Nanxi and asking him to go there quickly to identify him. "Fang, that's your sister-in-law. She must have come here for a reason. Maybe she heard that the house in her hometown was going to be demolished and wanted to take a look." Qi Jiangguo knew about He Tian's feelings for Nanxi and his affection for the old house. He Tian loses consciousness every time he mentions feelings. "You must be reluctant to pay for the demolition land," Qi Fang whispered. Qi Jiangguo looked at Qi Fang and said, "Fang, Don't you know who your sister-in-law is after so many years? Does she care about money? Joe Hunky scolded, Fang Fang, the deceased is the elder. My sister-in-law has left, so don't talk about it. We can't forget our roots. The house was given to us by our sister-in-law. We must remember her kindness in our hearts. Seeing that his brother-in-law could still speak human words, Chi Jiangguo calmed down and went into the room to rest. The next day, Chi Jiangguo, Chi Fangfang, and Zhou Hunky came to the crematorium together and received an urn. This was He Tianatian's ashes and they were to be taken back for burial. Huo Yingzhe listened to all the recordings and knew how He Tiantian had been wronged over the years. From the day He Tiantian died, Huo Yingzhe asked people to investigate everything about He Tiantian. And thus learned everything about He Tiantian. Huo Yingzhe was filled with regret. If only he could confirm it again, if only he could trust He Tiantian a little more. However, there are not so many ifs in the world. A secretary held a large box, placed it on Huo Yingzhe's desk, and said, Chairman, this is what you want. Thank you, please go out, Huo Yingzhe said softly. Assistant Yu went out and closed the door. Huo Yingzhe gently opened the carton and took out an exquisite urn. Yes, this is He Tianatian's urn. Inside are He Tianatian's ashes. He Tiantian lived such an unhappy life, he would not let her be buried in a different place. The one Chi Jiangguo took away was just sand and pebbles inside. Huo Yingzhe took out a small black and white photo from his wallet and pasted it on the urn. During his lifetime, he did not take good care of He Tiantian. After his death, he wanted He Tiantian to leave happily. So the urn is the best, and the photo above is also a photo of He Tiantian when he was young. Huo Yingzhe admitted that he should bear the main responsibility for this relationship. It was his weakness and giving up that caused the two to be unable to be together. He regretted it immensely. However, there is no regret medicine in the world. He Tiantian couldn't survive either. Huo Yingzhe's anger had nowhere to vent. He found out those who framed the He couple and sent those people to prison. As for the man who deceived He Tiantian all his life, Chi Jiangguo, Huo Yingzhe will also make him pay a heavy price. As for those Chi Fangfang and Lu Lingli who bullied He Tiantian, Huo Yingzhe will not let him go either. So not long after, a family of 5, Chi Jiangguo, Chi Fangfang, Chi Mu, Zhou Hunky, and Zhou Zhishan, were involved in a car accident while out on a self-driving trip, and they all died. The accident was characterized as a car quality issue. Lu Lingli, who used He Tiantian and helped Chi Jiangguo deceive He Tiantian, was sentenced to 15 years in prison because someone reported her for corruption and bribery. She will probably spend her old age in prison. Haha, dead and in jail, but so what? He Tiantian will not survive. Huo Yingzhe sat in the study, took out 2 cups, and while drinking, he talked to the photo on the urn. The photo at the back is Huo Yingzhe's most precious photo. He Tiantian in the photo is exactly 15 years old. He would only be able to look at this photo from now on. Tiantian, if you lived well and lived happily, I might feel better, but you're not doing well. Huo Yingzhe drank another whole glass. You're not having a good time, why don't you come to me? He drank another drink. Actually, it's all my fault, I should go find you. This is the 3rd cup. I'm a coward, why don't I dare to go to you? This is the 4th cup. I wonder if you hate me, this is the 5th cup. You must hate me. This is the 6th cup. Hate me, prove that you still love me. This is the 7th cup. I hate you in my heart, I love you. This is the 8th cup. If there is an afterlife, even if it means death, I will not give up on you. This is the 9th cup. However, after only half of the 9th cup was drunk, Huo Yingzhe lay on the table, his body weak, his face pale, and motionless. Afterwards, when he woke up again, Huo Yingzhe was back to his prime 18 years old. His sweet girl is now a pretty and lovely 15 years old. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 987. 985. October 1, 1984. The sky is clear, the air is clear, and the wind is gentle. The white clouds in the sky are arranged in clusters like cotton. The blue sky pleases people's eyes and makes people feel refreshed. Today is the day of the Grand Military Parade, which everyone has been looking forward to for a long time. Are you all ready? We're about to set off, He Tian smiled. Today our whole family went to watch the military parade together, and we even carried our 3 children to let them experience it too. Okay, let's go, Grandma Chi-san smiled. She was a little excited. She had never been to a military parade before. Huo Yingji checked one side carefully, nodded and said, "Okay, we can go." "Okay, let's set off," He Tian said, telling the driver to drive. Along the way, everyone was very excited and kept talking. Because they had obtained the admission tickets in advance, and after going through various checks, they were arranged to the designated place. As for Old Man Chi, he was directly welcomed to the back, and together with Mr. Huo, he would go up to the Tiananmen Tower later. That is a supreme honor. However, this is the honor that Grandpa Chi earned in exchange for his own life and blood. He Tianation's nanny bag contains a large thermos bottle, which contains water, paper, diapers, snacks, etc. After everyone was arranged, He Tian, Huo Yingji sat down and took a rest. He Tian likes to participate in group activities with everyone, but every time they come out, they are in the middle position with the elders at the top and the younger ones at the bottom. They have to do everything by themselves and are exhausted. However, He Tian and Huo Yingji both like this kind of fatigue. Anyway, they are young and can just rest for a while. Secretary Chi and Chi Rongjun are very excited. This time they can sit here and benefit from the honor of Grandpa Chi and the Huo family. What an honor! Dad, I really didn't expect that we would have such an honor to come here to watch the ceremony. Chi Rongjun is a veteran and now the director of the police station in Daowen County. Life may have worn away some of his sharp edges, but I still have the passion of a soldier in my heart. Today's scenes and pictures rekindled the passion deep in his heart. Yes, I came at the right time this time, Secretary Chi said with a smile. I can talk to the people in the village when I get back. We will take more photos and bring them back later. By the way, your camera is ready. I'm ready. I brought a lot of film just to take more photos. Chi Rongjun said that he would show the photos he took this time to everyone in the village and unit, and also send them to his comrades with whom he had good relationships. Nowadays, transportation is inconvenient, and everyone has a job. Not everyone has the opportunity or time to come and watch the military parade. After the leader's speech, the military parade officially began. The square formations on the stage walked in front of the crowd with neat steps, tanks and military weapons and armored vehicles roared past. He Tian, like everyone else, was very excited, cheering and excited. Although Huo Yingji was also cheering, it was only on the surface. He was very calm inside. At this time, Huo Yingji carefully stared at the tanks and weapons not far away, thinking that those weapons would use the materials he had researched, and then mentally calculating what kind of tasks and projects he would receive in the near future. When the people around him were cheering, they would keep pressing the shutter, leaving behind this shocking scene. He Tian was excited. Although the military parade was not as advanced as what she had seen on TV in her previous life, she could feel the enthusiasm, determination, and fearlessness of the soldiers. Watching it on TV can never be more immersive and shocking. At this moment, she felt the national honor and national responsibility. She must work hard and be a valuable screw in the construction of socialism. Small children, wearing sun hats, cheered too. Soon, the military parade passed quickly, making everyone feel that time passed quickly, as if it was just a blink of an eye. After that, everyone came out in an orderly manner. The people watching the ceremony felt sad and wished they could keep watching. "Tian Tian, it's our turn to appear," Huo Yingzhe whispered into He Tianatian's ear when he saw He Tian Tian was stunned. This woman started to think too much in her mind again. He Tian Tian regained consciousness and said with a smile, "Haha, it's over." "Yes, it's over," Huo Yingzhe smiled, "there will be many more military parades in the future. I will take you to see them, okay?" "Yes," He Tian Tian nodded. In her simple heart, she always believed that as long as the country was strong and there was no war, the people could live and work in peace and contentment. Although He Tian Tian is not a big politician, we can see from the news of later generations that some countries in the Middle East colluded with foreign forces in order to overthrow the domestic regime. Maybe their starting point is good, and they want to build a so-called liberal democratic society similar to Western countries, but they also want to copy the political systems of other countries without considering the differences in national conditions, beliefs, and other aspects. Is undoubtedly a foolish dream. After that, domestic forces resisted, foreign forces suppressed, and the people were trapped in the flames of war, and the people were in dire straits. Those idealists who accepted the new ideas were generally highly educated or well off. They left the war-torn areas through immigration, but ordinary people lost their families, friends, and even their lives in the war. Seeing, the people are suffering, but at least they can live a stable life. The people are suffering the most if they die. In the war, their lives cannot be saved, so what else can they hope for? All we people want is a peaceful life. The couple filed out with everyone. Everyone was talking about the military parade just now, expressing their shock. "Haha, I really came at the right time this time," Chi Rongjun said. "I took a lot of photos. I will develop them later and send them to my comrades, so that they can feel the power of the motherland." "Okay, brother Chi, give me the film later and I'll find someone to develop the photos for you." He Tian Tian smiled, "I guarantee you can get the photos and mail them out tomorrow." "Then please leave it to Tian Tian," Chi Rongjun said with a smile, "it would be better to mail it from Yanjing." At noon, Huo Yingzhe took everyone directly to the hotel for dinner. They had reserved seats in advance and were taken directly to the large private room upstairs. I was in a high mood today, and everyone cheered and applauded vigorously, which consumed a lot of energy, so everyone ate more lunch than usual. As for Old Man Chi, he didn't come back and went to attend the state banquet with Mr. Huo. This is the treatment that Old Man Chi deserves. Although he has been in a corner for so many years, Old Man Chi's contribution and achievements cannot be denied. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 988. 986. After dinner, everyone did not go home immediately, but walked around. I didn't go home until after 5 o'clock in the evening. Grandma Chi-san has been sitting in a wheelchair, otherwise she would not be able to walk a few steps with her 3-inch golden lotus. Tian Tian, Yingzhe has worked hard today. Grandma Chi-san sat on the rocking chair at home and said with a smile, "You guys should go back and rest quickly. There is no need to greet me here." Secretary Chi smiled and said, "Tian Tian, go ahead and let's chat with third aunt. You and Yingzhe are busy today and it's really hard." "Okay, I'll go back and take a rest first, and I'll come over to chat with everyone later." He Tian Tian smiled, indeed a little tired. The third son is still crying. At this time, Old Man Chi and Mr. Huo came back. Huo Yingzhe made tea and came over and sat beside him to keep him company. Originally, He Tian Tian returned to the house and took over the care of the children, so she kicked Huo Yingzhe out and asked him to accompany the elders. "Grandpa Chi, Grandpa, You have met many old comrades today, right? Huo Yingja poured the tea and made room for his friends and elders. Haha, not bad. Mr. Huo smiled heartily. I did meet a lot of comrades I don't usually see. Hey, after so many years, everyone is getting older. Yes, he is gray-haired and very old. Old man Chi said, sighing, I saw you once, I guess there will be a lot less people next time. Mr. Huo was also very sad. He shook his head and laughed, saying, in short, we are already very lucky. Compared with our deceased comrades, if we live an extra day, we will earn a day. What regrets do we have? Hearing Mr. Huo's free and easy words, Old Man Chi smiled and said, what he said is that we who should have been dead are alive now because of the blessing of our comrades, so what should we be dissatisfied about? We have eaten enough. Seeing that the country's prosperity is underground, we can talk about it carefully with our comrades. That's it. Let's keep our eyes open, take a good look, and talk to them in the future to make them happy. After saying this, Mr. Huo finally couldn't help but the red circles in his eyes. There were so many comrades fighting in the trenches. There are so many comrades who eat from the same pot, all. Speaking of this, Old Man Chi burst into tears. Those who have not experienced those years of war cannot understand their feelings. This time, many people experienced great sorrow and joy. Great joy, the country is prosperous, the country is peaceful and the people are safe. Great tragedy, but many of their comrades cannot see it. The two old men were shedding tears, remembering the past. Seeing this, Grandma Chi-san smiled and said, okay, our lives have entered the countdown. Think about it, cry and remember your former comrades. It is understandable, but since you have lived safely until now, you should live well and bring you the things that the comrades have not experienced or tried have been experienced and tried, and that is meaningful. Mr. Huo took the towel handed over by his grandson, wiped his tears, and said, I made the girls of the Chi family laugh. I really can't bear it today. I feel so happy and sad at the same time that I don't know what to say. Thank you. Old Man Chi took the towel handed over by Huo Yingja and wiped his tears. Yeah, don't cry anymore. My eyes and brain feel hurt. Let's live well, and even our comrades' share will be well. When Huo Yingja saw his grandfather, Old Man Chi was like this, he had some thoughts in his mind. The two in front of me are still relatively high status and can get help from the country, but there are still many veterans who have some difficulties in life. He and Tian Tian now have a lot of money and can't spend it all. They can set up an organization to help veterans and give them a little help in their lives. Although it may be a little money, it can also solve some of the pressure in life. It makes people bleed and cry. The economy is tight and there is no ability to do so. But he can do it. After he obtained the current patents in advance, he handed them over to Jian's Hijao. He can earn tens of millions of dollars every year. They have been kept in the Swiss bank account opened in the name of He Tian Tian, and they have not been touched at all. It can be said that He Tian Tian has taken care of the whole family these years. Every time He Tian Tian is asked to withdraw money, his wife always finds it troublesome. Furthermore, it seems that the father-in-law and mother-in-law also deposit a sum of money to He Tian Tian every year, which seems to be a dividend from the company. He won't touch He Tianation's money. He wants to touch the money transferred from the patent. Money is just a number after a certain amount, and it doesn't have much meaning. If the money can be used to do something useful and help others, especially veterans who have carried guns and fought with grandfathers and Grandpa Chi, it may be of greater significance. Mr. Huo had dinner and insisted on going home. He also wanted to share today's feelings with his old wife. Old Man Chi drank some wine tonight and went back to the house early to sleep. Grandma Chi-san was a little tired, so He Tian Tian personally helped her wash up and then sent her to the room before going out. The couple began to wash the child and put the child to sleep. It wasn't until the child fell asleep, He Tian Tian, that Huo Yingja truly breathed a sigh of relief. Hey, it's been a lively and happy day. Huo Yingja smiled. Are you tired? Do you want me to give you a massage? Okay, He Tian nodded, then lay on the bed, quietly waiting for Huo Yingja's massage. Huo Yingja's techniques were very good. Every time he got a massage, He Tian could sleep soundly and feel relaxed. So every time Huo Yingja came back, He Tian wanted her husband to massage her. Huo Yingja massaged He Tian gently. He Tian closed her eyes and enjoyed her husband's service. Comfortable, He Tian murmured, Brother Yingja, after watching the military parade today, what do you think? Huo Yingja thought for a while and said, I want to do something for the cutest people in the past. He Tian was stunned, then turned around and asked, Husband, do you want to do something for those anti-Japanese war veterans? Well, you've thought of it too, Huo Yingja asked, a little surprised. He Tian listened and whispered, every time I see Grandpa Chi with tears in his eyes and remembering his deceased comrades, I feel particularly uncomfortable. We are powerless to those who have passed away, but we can help their families, or we can also help those living veterans, those anti-Japanese veterans in Nanyang, those in Korea, etc., who cannot return to the country due to various reasons, and the country may not have the energy to do so now. But we have money, and we can create an organization in the city to help those people. This is called understanding and understanding. Huo Yingja and He Tian completely thought of it together. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 989. Chapter 989 $30 million US. 987. Huo Yingja smiled and said nothing, but the admiration for He Tian in his heart was like a torrential river, endless. He just said a word and He Tian guessed the next thing. It's nothing more than a little bit of tacit understanding. He Tian was surprised, Brother Yingja, why don't you say anything? Do you disagree? Agreed, Huo Yingja nodded, I'm just a little curious, and we thought about it again. That's good, He Tian smiled, although our domestic industry makes a lot of money, compared to your patent company, it's not worth mentioning, so I hope I can transfer the money deposited in Swiss banks. How about using your money? You decide the money at home, Huo Yingja said with a smile. He just wanted to know what the money could do, but he didn't care how much it cost. He Tian nodded and said with a smile, that's good, but I think we have to talk to Grandpa and Grandpa Chi about this matter, let them know that if they come up with ideas, they can do something for their deceased comrades. They're psychological, it will be more comfortable. Besides, we all have things to do, so we need to find someone we trust to help us with the specific operations. Well, yes, I will tell my grandfather, Grandpa Chi. Huo Yingja smiled, let's just prepare the money. The couple reached an agreement and fell asleep peacefully. The next day, Huo Yingja said something about helping the veterans in front of Old Man Chi, Village Chief Chi, and Chi Rongjun. The people on the other side were all stunned. Old Man Chi was excited, but he had concerns and asked cautiously, Yingja, that's not one person or a skeleton, but countless people and countless skeletons. There are so many veterans, and it costs a lot of money. The country is still in a difficult situation and there is simply not enough money to do these things. Many of their comrades in arms who are in office also want to start such a thing, but they have not succeeded because they have no money. If I don't have money now, I can't do anything. However, this is not just an individual action, but a national action. It involves all aspects, but success cannot be achieved only by having money. Huo Yingja smiled and said, Grandpa Chi, we will take care of the money. As for how to operate it, we will discuss it carefully when we see Grandpa. We will first welcome the loyal people home and bring back the veterans who are living abroad. After hearing this, Secretary Chi said, Yingja, second uncle, if this thing is done well, it will be a great achievement. I don't care about credit or anything like that. I didn't experience those war years, and I can't understand the scene at that time, but every time I can see the faith, persistence, and sadness in the eyes of my grandfather, Grandpa Chi. There are many people in my family. Money, so I want to do something for the elders, do something for those who have sacrificed their lives and shed blood. Tian Tian and I have discussed that we will not only welcome back loyal soldiers and veterans, but also help some people in China who are struggling to make their elderly lives easier, but this is not something that can be accomplished overnight, it needs to be done step by step. Okay, old man Chi said, I also have some money in my hand. Okay, Grandpa Chi, you can keep your money. We don't need your money here, but we will insist on doing it, Huo Yingji said, rejecting old man Chi's money. Although the younger generation pays filial piety to old man Chi, for an individual, the money is quite a lot, but for the whole group, it is just a drop in the ocean. Chi Rongjun was shocked after hearing this and said firmly, Yingji, if you need someone, I can resign from my position and help you help those veterans. Village Chief Chi was stunned for a moment, but then nodded, patted his son on the shoulder and said, well done, son. Old man Chi looked at Chi Rongjun with eyes full of love. He didn't expect Chi Rongjun to resign. No matter what happens in the future, but at this moment, he is very happy. Huo Yingji smiled and said, Brother Rongjun, let's do something big when the time comes. Yes, Chi Rongjun nodded. This is indeed a big undertaking, which benefits the country and the people, and can leave a name in history. After talking here, they went to find Mr. Huo together. Mr. Huo also felt very good about it, so he immediately promised to do this and go through the formalities so that Huo Yingji and others would not have to worry about it. But in private, Mr. Huo found his grandson and asked in a low voice, Yingji, will Tian Tian have any objections to you spending money like this? No objection, this is what we have agreed upon, Huo Yingji said, Grandpa, you don't have to worry that doing this will affect our relationship as a couple. Then this requires a lot of money. Do you have enough money? Mr. Huo asked worriedly. If he came out by then, it would be ugly if his grandson said he had no money. Huo Yingji smiled and said, Grandpa, I have so much money. Huo Yingji pointed 3 fingers at Mr. Huo. 300,000, Mr. Huo guessed. For an individual, 300,000 is a huge amount of money, but for starting this project, this amount of money is a bit small. If it's less, guess more, Huo Yingji said with a smile, like a child trying to make his elders happy. 3 million, Mr. Huo's eyes widened, oh my god, this is a lot of money. In Mr. Huo's heart, 3 million is a huge amount of money, and it is the money he Tian Tian earned. It's still less, keep guessing, Huo Yingji smiled proudly. He was quite forward-looking and had made so much money early. Not enough? Mr. Huo held out 3 fingers, somewhat in disbelief. If he guessed again, then, that would be 30 million? Yingji, you mean 30 million, Mr. Huo asked, staring at Huo Yingji closely, not wanting to miss any of Huo Yingji's expressions. Yes, 30 million, Huo Yingji smiled, and it's still US dollars. When Mr. Huo heard this number and unit, he gasped in surprise and was also startled. Worried that his grandson would go astray, he hurriedly asked, Yingji, please tell me carefully, what exactly is this, what's going on? Did Tianation's family give it to you, or did you get it through some evil means? We, the Huo family, can't do anything illegal. Mr. Huo felt bad about using the money from his grandson's wife's family, but Huo Yingji didn't mind if it was he Tian Tian, and he didn't care about these extraneous things. But if Huo Yingji got the money from committing adultery and violating laws and disciplines, then he would never allow it. Grandpa, this is not Tianation's mother's money, nor is it obtained by me breaking laws and disciplines. As for the funds of our institute for 1 year, except for research, all of them are given to employees as bonuses. Besides, research since its establishment, the total funding has been only a few million, not even $30 million, Huo Yingzhe explained. Grandpa, don't worry. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 990. 988. Hearing what his grandson said, Mr. Huo breathed a sigh of relief. Thinking about it, grandson usually knows the importance of things and would not do such a thing. Then tell me where the money comes from, Mr. Huo asked. After all, his grandson is working in China, and it is such a confidential job. He must not leak the secret. Huo Yingzhe smiled and said, when I had nothing to do, I invented a few small things, and then entrusted a patent company to collect patent licensing fees every year. Inventing small things. Patent company, Mr. Huo was stunned. Isn't this a domestic thing? My God, you don't take things abroad to make money, do you? It's over, does this grandson understand discipline? When Huo Yingzhe saw that the old man was angry, he didn't dare to go around in circles, lest he make the old man suddenly sick. Grandpa, don't worry, listen to me carefully, Huo Yingzhe reassured. Those things I make are for civilian use, not military, and they are not in my name, but in Tianation's name. For civilian use, Mr. Huo asked, that's not okay, you are violating discipline. When Huo Yingzhe heard his grandfather's words, he knew what his grandfather would say, and continued to explain, for example, our home video recorders and videotapes. Even if I don't make these things, foreign countries can make them within 2 or 3 years. Why can't I get it out and make more money? Mr. Huo was a little confused after hearing his grandson's words. These don't really seem to match the military. Seeing that his grandfather looked better, Huo Yingzhe said, Grandpa, our domestic system is not suitable for me to do this at all, and there is not even a decent patent law. If I don't apply for a patent for the things I make, I will wait until someone abroad applies for it. It's patented, we want to make these things again and still pay for the patent fees. Why, Mr. Huo glared, we made it first, why should we pay them patent fees? Just because we are reforming the market, the economy will gradually integrate with international standards in the future. If you don't follow other people's rules, they won't let us play, Huo Yingzhe said. Just because we missed applying for a patent, we will lose a lot. Mr. Huo doesn't know much about these things, but what he values most is confidentiality. You are an engineer, and you are also responsible for the synthesis of high-tech new materials. You cannot leak secrets, Mr. Huo reminded. Leaking secrets is treason and treason. Grandpa, I won't do such a thing, I promise, Huo Yingzhe said. There are so many people in our Huo family, and I am also over 30 years old. We are both old and young. How could we do such a thing? Woolen cloth. That's good, Mr. Huo nodded. Okay, I want to tell the big boss about this matter and let him know. Otherwise, I won't feel at ease. Isn't it necessary? Huo Yingzhe asked. After all, what he authorized were very civilian things and had little impact on the military. Why it's not necessary, Mr. Huo scolded. Do you think the higher-ups don't know what actions we are taking on the territory of China? Furthermore, if we don't know now, it doesn't mean we won't know in the future. And even if we know, it doesn't mean we can say it, but we should be aware. Huo Yingzhe frowned, then aren't we showing off our wealth? Haha, in our class, money is not that important anymore, Mr. Huo said. Unless you never use foreign money at home, you may not be traced, but if you do, we will investigate, and your identity is so special, you will be investigated if there is any trouble. Huo Yingzhe smiled bitterly and said, that's right. I thought too simply. Fortunately, Grandpa, you reminded me. Then please ask Grandpa to help me deal with it. This matter will be taken care of by me. As long as you don't do anything to leak the secret, everything else is not a big deal, Mr. Huo said with a smile. This matter is still under control, and his grandson also wants to use the money to make some profits. Things that benefit the country and the people. Thank you, Grandpa, Huo Yingji said with a smile, which relieved his worries. After the National Day, Qi Rongjun got the clean photos, immediately sent some to his former comrades and leaders, and then started to pack his things and leave with his father. As for Grandma Qi-san and Old Man Qi, they will stay in Yanjing for a while. When the weather gets cold, they will return to Kijia village. Grandma Qi-san doesn't care, the most important thing is to take into account the feelings of Old Man Qi. After all, there is his struggle here. Furthermore, Old Man Qi is getting older, and there will probably be no next time he comes to Yanjing this time. Huo Yingji also returned to work. Before the National Day, Huo Yingji gave everyone a holiday and let everyone watch the military parade on TV or in person, so that everyone could increase their national self-esteem, sense of pride, and sense of personal mission. Everyone came to the workplace with high spirits. Huo Yingji also received several latest material projects. Haha, it is indeed similar to what he guessed. It is time for the country to start studying these things. No matter what the material is, he will try his best to complete it. After that, there are meetings, analysis, summary, calculation, and then formulating an experimental report. One item at a time, proceed in an orderly manner. Huo Yingji was also working hard to design the optimal plan. Suddenly, the red phone in the office that never rang actually rang. Huo Yingji lowered his head, thinking it was the blue phone he usually used, but there was no sound on it. At this time, Huo Yingji looked up, and the red phone continued to ring. Huo Yingji was a little nervous and quickly picked up the phone. "Hello, this is Huo Yingji." Huo Yingji picked up the phone and said directly. After 2 deep breaths just now, he had relaxed, so there was no tension in his tone now. Only steady and calm. "Haha, Yingji, someone will pick you up in half an hour, just follow." The voice of Grandpa Huo came from the other side of the phone. Huo Yingji was stunned, and he recognized his grandfather's voice and asked, "Grandfather, where are you going?" "To see the big leader." Grandpa Huo said, "You should pack up the work on hand quickly, and the person will be here soon." "Yes, Grandfather." Huo Yingji agreed and hung up the phone. Huo Yingji had just figured it out. It must be that his grandfather went to talk to the big leader about his affairs, which attracted the attention of that person. No matter what, Huo Yingji was sitting upright and not afraid. Even if someone wanted to find fault, he had to find evidence. At this moment, Huo Yingji had packed up and was waiting for someone to pick him up. While waiting, Huo Yingji was also thinking about what questions the teacher would ask him and how he should answer them. After careful consideration, he had a rough plan of response. Sure enough, about half an hour later, 4 people came to pick up Huo Yingji, and Xie Wu and Zhang Ning followed to protect Huo Yingji. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 991. 989. After many rounds of investigations, Huo Yingji was finally brought to a beautiful place. Mr. Huo and Mr. Qi are both here. They were drinking tea with their husband, talking and laughing. "Boss, Grandpa Qi, hello." Huo Yingji stepped forward and saluted, very respectfully, but he also guessed what was going on. "Haha, the Huo family's Kailani is here." The gentleman smiled. "Come on, sit down, don't be formal." "The leader is too polite," Mr. Huo said with a smile. "This kid can't stand the praise, he will be proud." "As long as there is pride in capital, it is not a compliment, but a truth." The gentleman smiled and said, I have learned something from your grandfather. Are your patents really making money from abroad? Yes, with the current technology reserves, even if I don't invent and design it, someone from abroad will design it, so I will be the first to do so, Huo Yingzhe explained. Since his grandfather had already confessed on his own initiative, how could he hide it? After hearing this, the gentleman nodded and said, "Can it be produced domestically? You also know that with the enrichment of material culture, people have more pursuits of spiritual life, and we must keep up. If domestic companies want to produce, they can apply directly and it will be used by domestic companies free of charge." Huo Yingzhe said, "I didn't make those things with the intention of making domestic money." "Well, very good," the gentleman nodded and said, "these patents of yours can save several factories." "Haha, as long as I can help other people," Huo Yingzhe smiled. He didn't know how to set up a factory anyway, so he didn't care about this. After that, the husband took out a draft, handed it to Huo Yingzhe, and said, "Look, is there anything else that needs to be added?" Huo Yingzhe was slightly startled. "Patent law? Show him such important material?" "Yes," leader Huo Yingzhe nodded. Although he didn't know much about patent law, since the other party asked him to read it today, he couldn't refuse. "Well, take your time and watch, let's continue drinking tea." The gentleman smiled and started talking to his two old friends. Huo Yingzhe read it carefully. It was generally similar to the patent law in his previous life, but he also knew that talking about patents in China at this time was nonsense. Even if a new product is patented, other factories can imitate it and copy it as long as it sells well. Even if a lawsuit is filed, it will only happen after making money. However, at home, the national conditions are different. For the sake of economic development, there may be some compromises, but this is not the case abroad. Our patent laws are very complete. If you don't follow other people's rules, they won't play with you. "Have you finished reading?" the gentleman asked. "What do you think?" Huo Yingzhe did not hide anything, and talked about the current situation and future of patents at home and abroad, especially the various problems and solutions that country H will encounter in the future after its economy gradually integrates with international standards. After hearing this, the teacher was silent for a long time and said, "Why do I suddenly realize that it is a waste of people to ask you to do research? If you pursue an official career, you will also be a good scholar in the world." After hearing this, Mr. Huo was convinced. He had had this thought more than once before. He always felt that if his grandson could pursue an official career, he might be able to soar into the sky. Old man Chi said with a smile, "Brother, you are wrong. Yingzhe can pursue an official career, but the scientific world lacks a great scientist." "Haha, that's right," the gentleman smiled. "People from the Science and Technology Commission often tell me that Yingzhe is a genius who can always produce all kinds of special materials in the shortest time and with the least amount of money, and we learned through the special department that the special materials submitted by Yingzhe have been studied abroad, and we have already researched them first. Yes, yes, it is a great blessing for the country. This is my job and my responsibility," Huo Yingzhe said with a smile, neither humble nor arrogant, He was quite calm like a worldly expert. "Okay, don't be happy with things, don't be sad with yourself, you are much better than us," the husband said. "I hope you will continue to work hard and achieve greater achievements." "I will, Sir," Huo Yingzhe responded cautiously. "Your starting point is good, and your approach is understandable. As long as it does not involve leaking secrets, the superiors will not care about it. However, in order to avoid future troubles, if you design and invent something, it is best to pass the review of the special department, and you can rest assured take it out and make money." The husband gave Huo Yingzhe an idea and passed the Ming Road. "Yes, Sir." Huo Yingzhe was very happy and no longer needed to be secretive. "Sir, Yingzhe is not ready to take all of this money. He told me a few days ago that he wants to use this money to help some veterans, whether they are veterans who died abroad or are living abroad, and bring them back. At the same time, some veterans in the country have financial difficulties, and he also wants to do his part. Mr. Huo said that if the money has passed through, he must do something for the country to feel at ease. The husband was slightly startled and thought of his good brothers from the past. "Is this a big project?" said the gentleman. "Are you really willing to do it?" Huo Yingja nodded and said, "Yes, those are my husband, grandfather, and good brothers who lived and died together with Grandpa Chi. They are also the loveliest people who shed their lives and blood for the country, so I am also willing to do it. At the same time, I also know this is a big project that cannot be accomplished overnight, but I will try my best." The gentleman was a little moved after hearing this. In the end, thousands of words turned into a sigh and said, "Hey, the country is still not rich." "Haha, then I'm rich, let me do this first," Huo Yingja said. "Just to do such a thing, there must be a specialized department or organization, and you need instructions from your husband." "Yes, I've made a note of it," the husband said. "I'll let you know when the arrangements are made." "Thank you, Sir." Huo Yingja smiled, not expecting things to go so smoothly. The husband smiled and said with emotion, "It's me who should thank you. Okay, we are all doing things for the country, so let's not be polite and compliment each other," Mr. Huo said with a smile. "This move can bring supreme glory to the Huo family, especially the military. Huo Yingja does not lead directly, but he is still within the system. He will bring great benefits to Huo Yingja, and at the same time, he will also help his late good brother who lived and died together. Yes, you can have a drink with me before leaving after lunch," the gentleman said with a smile. It was time for lunch, so he asked them to eat before leaving. After all, the leader invited them here in a private name today, so it was not considered a violation of discipline. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 992. 990. After lunch, Huo Yingja returned to his workplace. Mr. Huo and Mr. Chi returned to the Huo family's old house. The two haven't seen each other for many years, and now they have endless things to talk about. They won't let old man Chi go back until night, talking about the present and reminiscing about the past. Mr. Huo even contacted all his comrades in Yanjing and gathered at home. They had a pleasant life. Huo Yingja could rest assured and produced some more things. After being reviewed by the higher authorities, he would send them to Xiangjiang for Qianzhijao to apply for a patent. Make a lot of money, and the Swiss bank will have more and more money. Huo Yingja went home in the evening and told He Tian what happened today. "That's good. At least we don't have to do good things and worry about it." He Tian smiled, "Since we said we would do something for the veterans, Grandpa and Grandpa Chi are very happy. It makes the old man feel comfortable, which is good. Now that they think of those lovely people who have the ability to help, just do it without hesitation." "Yes," Huo Yingja said, "you can't make enough money. You can make more after using it." "I think so too." He Tian smiled. "By the way, Brother Dajan told me that he has started to promote Sanfan Bridge across the country, and the business is getting bigger and bigger." "Brother Dajan only wants to open a store, not a factory?" Huo Yingja asked. "After all, freshly made food in the store cannot be kept for a long time. If it is traveling or giving to relatives and friends far away, just no way. But vacuum packaging can solve this problem perfectly." Hearing this, He Tian nodded repeatedly and said, "Yes, this is also a good development direction. Next time you see Brother Dajan, mention it to him and let him pay attention to it. This is a project with great development prospects. You must pay more attention to it," Huo Yingja said with a smile. "As long as the Sanfan Kiao brand is promoted, the market will be broader in the future." "Yeah, remember," He Tian agreed, feeling grateful to Huo Yingja for pointing out another development path for Sanfan Kiao. "Grandma, Grandpa, my mother wants to visit you." Do you have time? I can arrange it, Tang Qian said carefully. Although Qi Jinmin's elders had previously agreed to their relationship, in his opinion, if his parents did not let's meet, it's too early for the marriage to be finalized. Grandma Qi San smiled. She had already met the old man and the old lady of the Tang family before, but only mentioned it vaguely last time. Everyone had a great time chatting and made a good impression. Haha, are you anxious, young man? Old man Qi asked with a smile, joking on the side. Tang Qian nodded and said, yes, Grandpa Qi, I'm worried. I'm going to be 30 soon. Children who are about the same age as me are already able to do soy sauce everywhere. Besides, it's rare to meet someone who makes me attracted, and I want to be a good woman with her for the rest of my life, so I'm even more anxious. Haha, old man Qi smiled and looked at the person who made the decision next to him. Previously at Jingxia Villa, brother Tang and sister Tang warmly entertained him and asked him to say good things to him many times during the dinner. They are sincere and believe in the character of their couple. However, Qi Jinmin is not his biological granddaughter after all. There are some things that he cannot decide. Besides, the person in the family doesn't want him to make a hasty decision on this matter. At that time, old man Qi vaguely said that if he wanted to marry a daughter-in-law quickly and have grandchildren, he still needed to start from Qi Jinmin's grandmother. It's just that Grandma Qi San seems to have done it on purpose. She goes out to play every day, and it's not good for the Tang family to come to visit. At the end of October, at the urging of his parents, Tang Qian came over to try out his words. Tang Qian was a little nervous, afraid that Grandma would say again, wait a minute. Qi Jinmin was a little anxious in the kitchen, sticking his head out from time to time to look outside. Okay, come and help me choose the food, he Tian said. Grandma is not a monster, she can still eat. Tang Qian. She is not married yet, so she just wants to turn her elbows outward. Sister Tian, please stop making sarcastic remarks. Qi Jinmin wrinkled his nose and said, you like your brother-in-law so much, but maybe you can't compare to me. Haha, nonsense. He Tian firmly refused to admit that she also turned her elbows outward. By the way, have you implemented the promises Tang Qian said on paper? Qi Jinmin smiled and said, the prenuptial agreement has been signed. Grandma read it last night and was very satisfied. It shouldn't embarrass Tang Qian today. You know it's not difficult, but you're still so worried, he Tian asked. I think you're just worried. By the way, what did you say in the agreement? Actually, I am also a very kind person and will not be so harsh, so I changed some terms. If the couple gets divorced due to emotional discord, then the joint property belongs to the children they share. If there are no children, the woman's seventh. If the man is unfaithful to the marriage, the person at fault will leave the house. Qi Jinmin explained, how about that, is it fair? He Tian thought for a while, nodded and said, fairly, this can be regarded as giving face to the old man and the old lady of the Tang family. They can't use this against you in the future. Yes, that was the starting point for Grandma and I. Qi Jinmin nodded, I am not young anymore, and I also like Tang Qian and want to try a marriage with him. As long as you like it. He Tian smiled, you are an adult and know what you do, and Tang Qian has been recognized by everyone for the time being. You can run your own life well. Yes, if I encounter any confusion, I will ask you for advice. Qi Jinmin said. Every time she saw He Tian, Huo Yingjia had been married as sweet as a newlywed for so many years, which made her envious. Okay, as long as you are in Yanjing, come and see me if you need anything. He Tian agreed. The two were good sisters, and she sincerely hoped that Qi Jinmin would be well. Grandma Qi San over there thought for a while, nodded and said, okay, come and sit down when you have time. Tang Qian was very happy to receive Grandma Qi San's affirmative answer. I didn't eat at noon, so I went home directly to prepare things. I will come with my parents and matchmaker to propose marriage tomorrow. After returning home, Mrs. Tang and Mr. Tang were very happy to hear that the other party agreed to propose marriage. The things I prepared in advance can finally be put to use now. Early the next morning, accompanied by two great matchmakers, Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo, Mr. Tang, Mrs. Tang and Tang Qian's two brothers, sister-in-law, sister and brother-in-law all came over. There are more than a dozen people in the house. In this way, they also gave Qi Jinmin the highest importance. Grandma Qi San was very satisfied when she saw this battle, so under everyone's gaze, she thought again and finally agreed to the marriage between her granddaughter Qi Jinmin and Tang Qian.